Welcome everyone to our Ohana Massive Momentum Monday. So glad you're taking some time to be with us today. It's just a half an hour at the beginning of your week to really get you and your business off on the right foot. Today I'm actually super excited about our topic. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. And we switched gears a little bit. So we posted that we're going to go over some massive action tips. And as we really thought about it, my heart kept going back to we've got these big events on the calendar and this big event coming up, the Bison event in Las Vegas. And I can't personally think of anything that's been more transformative to my business and created more momentum in my business than beginning to attend events, whether it's a local event, whether it's an event you fly into or drive or stay overnight. It seems like the more work it takes to get there, the more transformative it is, right? Sometimes you just do like a little nighttime event in your, an hour or so from your house, and that can be great because you're out of your environment and you're really submersing yourself in a sea of people who are all bettering themselves and who have all bettered themselves. And then there's getting away from, your life and your responsibilities and hopping on a plane, which for myself, it's a little embarrassing, but I'm just going to throw this out there. I had never traveled alone. When I went to my first event, I had never flown on a plane alone. I had never done an Uber alone. And I had told myself a story that my family could not survive without me. That was actually, I figured out, just a story, but boy, did I believe it. It was so true. I had a little one at home that wasn't in school yet, and teenagers with all kinds of places they needed to be. And I was like, I can't leave. And so I just said no. I said no to my first local event, and I said no to my first national event. And it took my mentors, I don't want to use the word pressure, but it took them helping me to see that this was going to be something that was really, really important to me. And then I turned around, just like hopefully a good mentor does, and I did the same thing with Haley. And I was like, Haley, you're a bright, shining star. You have all this potential, but guess what? We got to get you to an event. So I'm going to turn the time over to Haley for a minute. She's going to talk a little bit about how events have influenced her career with Optavia, how they've changed her life. I will tell you from personal experience that the Haley I met at an event, by the way, at a little local event, and the Haley that you guys might know now are two different people. She still has all of her great qualities and all the things that I saw in her, but she's a very, very different person now than she was before. And I have a few questions before I switch over to Haley that I want you guys to be considering. We're going to come back to them. So I'm going to give you guys a couple questions to consider, and I want you to kind of ponder on this, and then we're going to come back and answer those in just a minute. So the questions are, you don't have to write these down. I'm just going to throw it out there so it's just kind of tossing around in your brain. The questions are, what was the most transformative event you've attended and why? If you haven't been to any yet, you guys don't know what you're missing, but you're about to find out. Number 2, why do you think you have breakthroughs at events? And number 3, an aha moment. Where did it occur and what was it? So stick that on a shelf for a minute, and I'm going to turn the time over to Haley to talk to us a little bit about why events are important to her, why she thinks they're important to you, and how it changed her.
Okay, awesome. So I remember when Steph pressured me into going to convention, and this was a big deal because I was in the same boat. Like, I'd never traveled alone. So this was all the way out in well, it was in Texas, and I have a brother that lives out there. So my first thought was, okay, maybe I can stay at his house so I can have a little comfort. And then I threw it out to my mom, who was my client, and I said, hey, do you want to come to this with me? And she was like, sure. And honestly, if she hadn't said yes, I would not have gone, because it was like 2 weeks before convention, which was kind of a big deal to just go ahead and book flights. And I had to book a hotel like 20 minutes away from everybody else. So it was not the best circumstances. But I will say, I felt, in the beginning, I felt a little bit, if you're a new coach, you might feel like, why are they pushing me into all these events? Do they get a kickback? What do they benefit from it? Honestly, your coach benefits nothing from you going to an event. You get all of the benefit. And I want to go through just 3 areas that I felt like I really gained so much in through going to events. So number 1, personal growth. Number 2, business growth. And number 3, coach growth. So let me go through those a little bit. Personal growth. So you're inspired in your own story. You're inspired in your own abilities to be able to create health in your life. Just really like growing through some of those concepts that you have. They break through. You're able to sit around with other people who are like-minded, who are in the same boat. You get friends. You gain personal growth through friendships. It's huge. You go, we see each other on these little Zoom calls, and then we get to know each other, and then you go to events and you're like, these are my people, and you get to come together and be at these events. So it's fun too. But the personal growth side, you really gain that confidence, and you're able to just blast through some of those concepts, because everyone has had the same concepts, I promise. We're just all at different levels of busting through those. And so you get to come together with people who maybe have just gotten through some of their concepts, and they can help you to work through some of yours. The second one is business growth. If you want to grow your business, and if you want to have coaches, and you want to be a business leader, events are, I would say, they're crucial to that kind of growth. Not only do you learn how to be a business, I had no idea how to manage my time, money, taxes, write-offs, even how to read the income disclosure. That was also foreign to me. And events, you go and you learn those. You hear things about where to put your money. And a disclaimer, 50% of your income that you make through Optavia should be set aside for business expenses. Business expenses are taxes, events. So this is continuing education, which is what we do as coaches, because we are professionals and this is a job. So we make sure that we're trained properly. So events are actually business expenses. So 50% goes into taxes, business expenses, scholarships, things like that you're using for your business, okay? 10%, the company recommends 10% charitable contribution, whatever that looks like for you. We give, it comes back. Be generous, and we have a growth mindset, an abundance mindset. But make sure that you're being wise with your money and not just spending it all, because you want to be able to have the funds to go to these events and continue to grow your business. The third one is coach growth. So you might have a struggling client and you're like, how do I get her to figure this out? Well, you learn all about that at trainings. You learn how to utilize the life book as a coach. You learn how to use the tools that we have. All of the things, the updated information on client support, coach support, you learn those at events as well. Obviously trainings, we're covering those things. So if you can't make it to events, we're going to go over things in trainings, which means trainings are super important as well. But one thing that I noticed that is in all of these things that you gain is confidence. Confidence as a leader, confidence as a coach, confidence in yourself and your ability to do this. I know for me, I was like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. What right do I have leading a call, giving people, advice or being a leader? I have no, I don't have a place up here. And what I learned was that, we all do. We're all on here and we're all growing as leaders, and we all have something to share. And events really do help you to gain the confidence in your ability to be a better coach, to know how to manage your business, and to have the personal growth that you need to really overcome some of those things that hold you back from letting your business grow. And I promise you that from a business standpoint, so many of the events that I've been to have continued to break the shell. Like, we don't just go to one event and then we're like, okay, done. I am ready to be a business coach. My business is going to grow. This is going to be great. Check that off the list. But we continually crack the shell, and we get to see what's possible. And so as mentors, we want you to come to events so badly because we have seen what's possible, and we want to walk you through that door of what's possible for you. And I love that visual of, like, there's a doorway and you might have the door cracked, but I want to open that door and I want to hold your hand and walk you through. And that's what we do. On the other side of that doorway are all the things that you want, and you might just be holding yourself back because you're scared or you're, the unknown. So we really are trying to walk you through. So when we encourage you to events, it's not out of guilt or something that we benefit from. It's just to help you see the possibility of your own potential. So that, I think I kind of covered everything I wanted to on those 3 aspects. Steph, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Haley. I love all of your observations because events really are not they're not for us. Like, we're not getting we don't have a tally on one side and we're like, if we get 20 people here, we win an iPad. Like, that is literally what I thought was happening. Because I'm like, why are my mentors pushing me so hard? They must be like in the running for some contest or whatever. They know what's going on and they know what's going to happen, and they can't give you what you're going to get there. Like, we wish we could just put it in a box and we wish we could just hand it to you, but we can't do that. Another thought I had while you were talking is just that, in general with coaching, I feel like how do I explain this? We have ideas about who our coach is, or like these rock star coaches. And we're like, why, my coach is so confident. I wish I could be like him, or I wish I could be like her. And like, I could never be like that. And it is weird how, as you start going to events, you realize that the reason your coach is in that place that they're in, and the reason you feel that way about them, is that they've attended so many events and they've come home with little, like, words come out of your mouth that you hear at an event. It's not your own words, it's somebody else's. And that changes you into a different person. And that confidence is something that you can't start out with. It doesn't matter if you're like a top salesperson in the world for some whatever company. You come to our company new, you're fresh, and you get confidence in Optavia from attending events. And then that comes across when you talk to people. It just comes right across. So let's go back to our questions. We want to open this up to you guys now.
Steph, let me mention one thing that reminded me. I didn't really know who I represented before I went to convention. I didn't really know I knew this program, and I knew I loved Optavia and what it did as far as like for me, but going to bigger events, I really got to see the mission of our company, and it gave me so much gratitude for their mission that's full of integrity, that when I turned around to share it, I had no shame and I wasn't as scared, because I was like, I have nothing to be ashamed of. This company stands for what it says. It truly does. And I'm grateful that I know about it, and that I'm a part of this team, and that I'm a part of these people. And so it gave me, again, back to confidence. It gave me that confidence to share and to not be ashamed of who we represent and what we do. So.
I am so glad you mentioned that, because when I went to my first event, my first national event, you guys, everyone has the brother that does sales, or the cousin, or the whatever, right? We've all had that bad taste put in our mouth by someone. My brother sold Zango, the Tahitian nani juice. And I had such a bad taste in my mouth that was tainting everything for me. And when I became a coach for Optavia, I was scared to open my mouth, because I knew about how his wanting to get me on board with that felt like it just felt really weird. And so when I went to my first national event, I came home so full of gratitude. I could not have switched further from being worried to being so full of this gift and so full of gratitude. I couldn't wait to share it. Because what happens is you see people's lives and how they've changed, and you understand that we have the potential to do that for people, and all we have to do is open our mouth. Truly, truly. And you know how it changed your life if you've had an experience on the plan. So let's start out with our first question. What was the most transformative event you have attended and why? So go ahead and take yourself off of mute and let's do some sharing.
Hey, Steph, this is my favorite question. I went to the Bison event in Vegas last year, and that was my first big event. I hadn't gone to convention before. It was like my first big event, and they asked us to write down one goal that we had for the year that was like huge, a big goal. And I'm like, well, I only had I think I had one coach on my team, and I'm like, I want 10 coaches. Like, I want 10 coaches by next year. And that was a big, big thing for me. And right after that meeting, I walked outside of the convention center hotel we were in, and I got a call from a client who said, I want to be a coach. And I was like, what? Like, we had never talked about this or anything. And I'm like, I had just written down that I wanted 10 coaches. And I was like, how does that happen? Like, I was floored that happens. And that happens at events all the time. When you make a goal and you put your intention to achieve something, it's like things happen and they just start to roll in place. And that's what I just realized. I'm coming to every event for that purpose. I want to make those goals. I want to watch them happen and see those miracles unfold.
Krista, I am so glad you shared that. You guys, just going to an event, I think when I went to my first big event, I posted on social media that I was there. I cannot tell you how many people were pinging me, texting me, messaging me. All of a sudden, I was showing up as a professional, and they wanted a piece of that. They either wanted a piece of the coaching or they wanted to become a client. And it was simply that I think my professionalism went up. But you'll notice when you go to events, if you're posting about it, people will reach out to you. And Krista, just putting it out to the universe, this is what I want. Amazing. I love that you shared. Okay, someone else take themselves off mute.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, can you see me? I don't know how this works, but
I see you.
Okay, I unmuted myself. So anyway, my big event was the Bear Lake retreat. That was my first big event. And there was just something there. I can't really pinpoint it, but there was just something there that was just kind of magical. And so, and I think that was the first time for me, I understood the caliber of people that I was working with and the possibilities that could actually happen with Optavia and with the business, with people's health, with everything about it. And so that was my absolute biggest moment, besides the fact that the community, getting to know everybody. It's kind of like you can finally put a face with a name. And I've met so many people there, heard so many wonderful stories. And it just became something that I thought, this is what I want to do. I love what I'm doing. And I enjoyed sharing. And the same thing happened to me because I was writing things down. Excuse me. I was writing things down. And I got a phone call actually right there in a meeting, somebody saying, hey, I want to see what you're doing. And so I think that's true. You put it out in the universe and things happen. So
absolutely. Pam, that cabin retreat was magical. And I think, who can't use more friends? And the kind of friends that live above the line and are inspiring and motivating and cheer you on to be your best self. I don't know about you guys, but I can use a lot more of those people. There's no limit to how many of those people I want in my life. And going to the cabin event was like surrounding yourself with 50 best friends. It was amazing. Okay, someone else take themselves off of mute.
Hey, Steph. Yeah. Oh, did somebody else jump in?
Jenny, you start, and then we'll switch.
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one of the greatest blessings for me was to be able to see right up close and personal Optavia just firsthand. When I got to go to Baltimore, it was a new FIBIC summit, and able to meet Dr. A in person and go to his home and feel of the integrity of the company and what it stood for, it was seriously like mind-blowing. And what was really cool was my husband Troy has just kind of been kind of in the background, you know, a little bit, and just like, oh, this is cool, whatever. And he was able to come with me on that trip, and he was just like, wow. It's really incredible when you see it up close, when you attend an event of any kind, when you see the big picture of what Optavia is and the mission and the integrity and just how high, it's just high class. Like, it's just so, it attracts really amazing people. And like you said, being able to surround yourself with those types of people and feel that support, and it just helps you become that better version of yourself. And I feel like, you know, it just gives you that added layer of accountability, of excitement, of in every aspect, where you just leave feeling totally inspired, totally excited about what's possible, and totally excited to share this gift. And I think it's attending events where I realized what a gift I did have. And like you said, all of a sudden, all those barriers start to just go away, to where you're like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't I share this? This is amazing. So anyway, I love that.
Right. Jenny, thank you for that. If you guys have a spouse that's not quite on board, bring them to an event, because the events are personal development. I mean, whatever your spouse does, I can almost guarantee you this will help them in their business, their relationships, in being a parent. And then it's a getaway, right? Like, it's a getaway and it brings you closer together. But 9 times out of 10, your spouse is going to be like, hey, I was supporting you, but now I am like full support. Like, who doesn't want their spouse to be a better version of themselves? It's amazing. So thanks for sharing that aspect of it too, Jenny. Who had themselves off of mute at the same time as Jenny?
That was me.
Perfect.
Steph.
Go ahead, Karen.
So everyone seems to add a little bit more. And I know the Bear Lake event was awesome. I learned a lot of things from Krista and from Jenny, and it was just awesome to, well, everyone. I just learned a lot of things. But the most recent one was probably the one that was at Amber's Life Book event. And when Haley and Bonnie did the Burn Your Boat, I just thought, oh my gosh, I got to burn those excuses, and I got to burn those fears, and I got to burn and just be all in and just plan on it. Not kind of like, well, why isn't it not working? But there's just no excuses, and just move forward. And so that was huge for me. So, but thanks to all the leaders, everybody has such good stuff to add to everything, and I appreciate everybody.
And Karen, don't you love realizing you're not alone in what your thoughts were? Like, you look around when you're at an event like that and everyone's having the same experience. You're all like, why aren't we all in? Why haven't we burned our boat? You know, it's really fun to realize you're not alone. So right. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Let's move on to our next question. Why do you think you have more breakthroughs at events? Why events?
I'll add something there.
Please.
I think that it's just getting away from your typical just everyday. I think that we have to actually leave what's comfortable to get uncomfortable and to grow, because it's so easy to just do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result, but you realize you're not getting where you want to be. And so, you know, you kind of have to do something different and step out of your comfort zone for breakthroughs. So I think that's what's super powerful. And plus you're just there with everybody else and you realize that you're like everybody else. You're all in the same boat. And you're like, oh my gosh, you struggle with that too? And so it's kind of like getting out of what's normal and then just pushing yourself into something that's going to help you grow.
Thank you, Jenny. One of my biggest breakthroughs was my hotel room. The girls that I shared the hotel room with, I went back and talked to them and we bonded and we became really good friends, and we would go back to our hotel room and we would discuss what we had learned that day. And just that processing with people who were doing the same thing as me was so very powerful. And you don't do that at a local event. You don't go back to your hotel room and giggle and and laugh and process for hours and hours, and that's really powerful. Anyone else have a comment about this one? Why do we need to get out? Why do we have more breakthroughs at events? Let's move on to our last question because I just realized we're almost out of time. Okay, an aha moment. Where did it occur and what was it?
I'll jump in real quick while you guys are thinking. So this happened for me at convention, my first convention. Again, I had only been coaching maybe 2 or 3 months, so everything was really new to me. I hadn't seen anything on a bigger scale than what I was currently seeing with a local event and just my current clients. And I got there and I saw people on stage that had really big businesses. And it wasn't that I was comparing myself to them, but I saw them and I thought, why not me? And their stories are so compelling. You hear people's stories, and some people were living in a trailer and they were, hugely in debt and they had nothing, and they put their coach kit on their credit card, or they borrowed money from their parents, and they really just ran with this awesome program. And I just thought, why not me? And that was the first time that I gained a little glimpse of that I could actually create something that was really exciting to me. And it just kind of gives you that gasoline on a flame that you may have in your heart. And I remember that moment so well, sitting there watching these people come up on stage and tell their story. It just made me go, hey, I could do this. I could do this. Why not me?
Love it, Haley. I love it. Somebody else share an aha moment. That was a great one. I know we've got a few out here. I'm just waiting. Somebody else has a really good aha moment. I'm waiting.
Okay, maybe it's me.
It is. I was about to call on you.
I have to say that my first event was at Bear Lake, and I had this concept that I felt like I didn't want to share because I didn't want to hurt other people's feelings or make.
Oh, you're freezing. Okay, just stop just don't move around for a second and I think you'll come back. Case, Andrea, can you see yourself on the camera? Because I know what you're going to share and it's really powerful. I want you to share this. I think she went off of her Wi-Fi is probably connecting because she looks like she was just walking into her house. Okay, if you guys were at the cabin event and you were there with Andrea, you probably know what she's talking about. We'll give her one more minute to see if she comes back on. Looks like her phone's trying to connect. It's kind of back and forth. Let's see. Do you have a connection yet, Andrea? She's close.
I'm back.
Perfect. Okay. We lost you
Sorry.
at the very beginning, so go ahead. You were hesitant to
Okay.
share because
So
you. Okay.
I was at the Bear Lake event. That was my first event. And I had this concept that if I shared the program with people that I would shame them. And I realized, well, through all the people that made a comment, Pam was one of them, that it had nothing to do with shaming others, but it had everything to do with what I experienced as a little girl, and that I needed to heal that in order for me to be able to share this gift with others. So to me, that was so huge. I would make an excuse, you know, through like not sharing it because I didn't want to hurt others, but it had everything to do with me healing like my own issues as a child. So that was huge for me.
Andrea, you touched my heart at that event. I was so grateful to be able to be there with you when you had that breakthrough, because we all come from a different place, right? I wasn't shamed as a child, but I felt shame in feeling like I didn't know this was a gift, right? And you hear people's stories, and what happens is all the stories compile together and they go into your experience. And now I have Andrea's experience. So when I run into a client who maybe had a past with having expectations put on them by a mother or a father, you know, like I have someone to call on. I have her experience, and I even have her because now we're friends. And you're such a beautiful person. You look like a different person after that event. I think that breakthrough started a breakthrough for you in not only your health, but just your whole life. You really transformed into a different person, and you were beautiful then. But it's fun how those little breakthroughs are something that we need to move on in our life, right? And we can leave it behind, because when other people, I remember everyone kind of gathering around you with love and sharing their experiences, and I could see how you were like, yeah, this is just a story that I've told myself, and it's not really true. Thanks for being on today. I know we went over a couple minutes. I also wanted to just kind of piggyback on what Haley said. When I attended an event, my first event, I had a concept that everyone would be like, I don't know for a woman what's like ideal, but like perfect ideal weight, right? Like no body fat. Everyone would be like a size 4, and everyone would be Tony Robbins. You guys, I was like, I had this idea. And when I went to my event, and by the way, I've gone to several events since then, when I don't feel my best. You guys ever had your personal health hold you back from attending an event? Oh, I can't go because I've gained some weight back. I'm not at my perfect weight. And if I show up, they're going to notice that I've gained 12 pounds back. Well, guess what? We don't, first of all, notice. No one notices. Secondly, how do you think you're going to get it back off unless you go to an event and get inspired again? And also just realizing that events aren't for superstars. They're for you to become your best self. We don't want Tony Robbins, and the world needs you. Something that I learned really early on from my friend Katie is that you guys are somebody's right answer. Okay? So just know that somebody out there is waiting for you to reach out to them or you to share, because you are their right answer. It's not me, and it's not Haley, and it's not Jenny, and it's not Andrea. It's you. So if you want to have the confidence to help this person, and you want to come across as somebody who can actually help them, get yourself to an event so that you can be somebody's right answer and change somebody's life. Thanks for being on today. I'm going to post a bunch of stuff in the thread. If you guys aren't registered for Vegas yet, I want you to know you have till the 14th to get your hotel room. Book it with some people that are fun so you can have a lot of good conversation, and get yourself there. You will not regret it. Thanks for sharing your hearts with us today. You guys are awesome. Take care.